talking about marriage. So our opening prayer will come from the marriage rite, the nuptial blessing. The nuptial blessing takes place right prior to saying the Lord's Prayer. Holy Father, maker of the whole world, who created man and woman in your own image, and willed that this union be crowned with your blessing. We humbly beseech you for these servants who are joined today in the sacrament of matrimony. May your abundant blessings, Lord, come down upon this bride and upon her husband, who will be her companion for life. May the power of your Holy Spirit set their hearts aflame from on high, so that living out together the gift of matrimony, they may adorn their family with children and enrich your church. In happiness, may they praise you, O Lord. In sorrow, may they seek you out. May they have the joy of your presence to assist them in their toil, and know that you are near to them and will comfort them in their need. Let them pray to you, Lord, in the holy assembly, and bear witness to you in the world. And after a happy old age, they gather with a circle of many friends that surround them. May they come at last to the kingdom of heaven. We ask this through Christ our Lord.
Amen.
I think that is a beautiful, beautiful prayer. Because that prayer enriches everything that the church wants to offer through this holy sacrament. Little is known about early Christian marriage, mainly because most of the converts who came into the church, those early converts, were adults. And many of them were already married. So there was little written and little acknowledgement about what marriage is and what marriage is all about in that first generation of early Christians. It wasn't until Ignatius of Antioch in around 110 we find some of his writings, and he gives this instruction. Those who are to be married should be united with the consent of their bishop to make sure that they are married according to the Lord and not just for lust. That they are married according to the Lord. So, even in this first generation of early Christians, the church wanted to make sure that when couples enter into this sacramental union, that they're doing it for the right reason and not the wrong reason. And Ignatius, the wrong reason, he thought was lust. That, that ain't a very good reason to get married because he's like a hunk, or she's wow. That's not the reason, because there's nothing here. And so everything about the Lord comes from here, comes from the heart. And Ignatius says too that in order to protect the sanctity of the sacrament, that you had to have permission to get married. A priest, a presbyter, just couldn't give permission, or he just couldn't perform the act. He had to have permission from the bishop. So the presbyter would have to seek out permission, and this would take a while because there was no phone lines or internet in the second century. So there was a lot of communication that had to take place by courier. And so in that period of time, the presbyter had to appeal to the bishop that this couple is getting married according to the laws of the Lord and for the right reason for which the marriage is profound. The historian Hermitas, in the 2nd century, there is a writing found in Roman court, just a small part of a document that states that if a woman has an extramarital affair, her husband can leave her, but he must spend the rest of his life alone and will never be permitted to remarry, holding on to the value and the sanctity of the seal of marriage. That marriage is for life, and that once that seal or that bond has been broken, then there is a problem. And so, you know, if this man can't live together because of infidelity, he can leave her, but he cannot be remarried again. He has to live out a life in penance and in prayer. The church teaches us about marriage. And in the law of the church is called canon law. And in the law of the church defines and states what the church considers marriage to be. It begins by saying that marriage is a covenant. A covenant is a solemn agreement between God and humanity. God has always entered into covenant with his people. There was a sacred covenant between God and Adam and Eve. God created Adam and Eve, and the covenant began. This sacred promise that God would do God's part, and Adam and Eve would do their part. And they did for a while, until the day that they ate from the apple tree, and all hell broke loose. Then the covenant was dissolved, because Adam and Eve didn't live up to the part of the covenant. God made a covenant with Abraham. God said to Abraham, Abraham, you are going to be the father of many nations, and your descendants will be more numerous than the sands along the seashore or the stars in the heavens. And I, God, will be your God. So there was a sacred bond, a sacred agreement between God and Abraham. God made an agreement, a covenant, with Moses, the great liberator. Moses, I will hear the cry of Israel. I will deliver you from the bonds of Pharaoh. God kept God's promise. He let Moses lead the people out of Egypt. But God also wanted to provide the people with a plan to live by. And on Sinai, God gave Moses the 10 Commandments. 10 short sets of rules. And God said, I will always be your God. You know, if God says to us, obey these 10 rules, and the day you die, you'll go to heaven, would you make it? I wouldn't. I wouldn't. And I bet you wouldn't either. There's only 10 of them. But God, the state says, the law says, you are banned. You break a law of the government, you break the law of the state, you're going to end up in jail. You break the law of God, and all we have to do is say to God, God, I'm sorry. I'll try. And that's all God says.